The Australian journalist Sarah Wilson was about to meet the Dalai Lama, interviewing him for a column that she wrote on how to live a better life. She described the scene in her book called "First We Make the Beast Beautiful," about her experience living with anxiety. His Holiness the Dalai Lama tends to go on, his people told her, so she should just ask one question only. Sarah fretted and deliberated for days, wanting to ask the question that would provide a salve to all of us Westerners seeking a more meaningful path through this messy, fuggy angst of life. When they met for the interview a few weeks later, Sarah still hadn't figured out her one great question. So she asked the most authentically pressing thing for her in that exact moment. How can she get her mind to shut up? You know, to stop the fretty chatter that makes us so nervous and unsettled and unable to grasp the present moment at the end of yoga class when the instructor talks about it as though it's something you can buy off the shelf. His Holiness giggled and blew his nose on a paper napkin, shoving it down the front of his robe. "There is no use," he told her. "Silly, impossible to achieve. If you can do it, great. If not, big waste of time." Sarah blinked and responded, "But surely you can do it." "No," the Dalai Lama answered. "If I sit in a cave for a year on mountain, then maybe I do it, but no guarantee." He waved his hand. "Anyway, I don't have time." I love just about everything about the Dalai Lama, but what I love about this story is that he's telling us that an anxious, chattery mind is not something to be fixed. There is no use. We just get to shift our attention again and again. Some of us live with a diagnosed anxious condition, and some of us may be just feeling the low to medium anxious buzz that seems to hum in the air right now between COVID and the election and, everything else. However you're feeling right now, I would wager that each of us knows what it's like to feel nervous or unsettled or fretful or anxious. I want to share with you 5 ways of spiritually grounding ourselves in anxious times. Not fixing, but noticing, and then shifting our attention. Here's the first one. Connect to your breath and to your body. In times of high anxiety, it is really easy to get caught up in the racing thoughts without paying attention to your body. So take a conscious moment to be in relationship with your body. This might be a meditation practice, sure, like the Pebble meditation we did a little earlier. And if you already have a meditation or mindfulness practice, that's great, keep it up. If you're looking to start one, I recommend an app on your phone called Insight Timer, which has thousands of guided meditations of all different kinds. But connecting to your breath and your body doesn't need to be fancy. You can start in any moment by just pausing and noticing that you have a body. Check in with it. How is your body feeling right in this moment? Are you holding tension anywhere that you can release? Are you breathing? Good. In anxious times, you can set a timer for even just 1 minute and notice your breath. Alicia, if you'll share screens here, oh, you're on it. I like to use this really simple GIF, this animated image that lets you breathe in and out along with it. When you notice your mind has wandered, just bring your attention back to your breath. Let's breathe together now for a mindful 30 seconds. You might put your hand on your belly or on your chest to help notice your breathing. 30 seconds, connecting with our breath and our bodies. I'll keep the time. Thank you, Alicia. Here's a second way to ground yourself. Sing, pray, or dance it out. Something to release whatever you're holding. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've sung "I Know This Rose Will Open" in stressful or anxious situations, while dealing with medical stuff, preparing to make a difficult phone call, after listening to the news, you name it. It's one of my go-to songs, partially because the words acknowledge fear, but also acknowledge hope. Sing it with me if you're familiar. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. Sing any song that reminds you of what you care about, that makes you smile, or that you can belt out like you're alone in your car singing to the radio. Pray if that's your thing, then just let it go. Or put some music on loud and dance around your kitchen. My housemate and I have been dancing around to a gospel song we heard in an election defenders training called "This Joy," which we'll sing as our closing hymn. Speaking of which, here's the third practice. Cultivate joy. By joy here, I don't mean happiness per se, which is an emotional state that comes and goes. I mean joy as in a conscious choice to take delight in things, to tap into an internal wellspring of gratitude. To cultivate joy is to acknowledge the hard and worrisome things and to say, nevertheless, I am willing to enjoy this moment. Whether it's savoring a meal instead of eating it mindlessly, interrupting your internal worry monologue by calling a friend, or playing with your pet, or smiling with your eyes and offering a kind word to the next person you encounter. Joy can be found and can be created, regardless of what's going on in the world or in our lives. Joy softens the calluses around our hearts and calms down our brains. Practice number 4. Connect to the ancestors and connect to your purpose. This weekend, many cultures honor those who have died through All Souls Day or All Saints Day, Dia de los Muertos, or through the pagan holiday of Samhain. But connecting to those who have gone before can be a profoundly grounding practice anytime. You might think of someone in particular from your family who inspired you or encouraged you, or of people you look up to as heroes. How did they show up in the world when times were hard? What did they value and fight for? You are a part of the same motion of the universe, here to carry on their work, and here to give the gift that only you were born to give. It's like that line from Blessed Unrest we heard in our offertory from Zoe Toby. Ancestors all behind, and before me every child. I bring the power of a long, unbroken line. Connecting to those who have come before taps into that power, reminds me that I'm not the first to face challenging times, helps me be inspired by the way that generation after generation we have risen to the challenges of our moment. I draw strength from this quote from Adrienne Marie Brown. Let us measure success by how many of us feel and can say, I am living a life I don't regret. A life that will resonate with my ancestors and with as many generations forward as I can imagine. I am attending to the crises of my time with my best self. I am of communities that are doing our collective best to honor our ancestors and all humans to come. And finally, the fifth practice. Take authentic action. There are a lot of things in this world that you cannot control, and there are always things that you can. Fretting about the things we cannot control won't help us or the world, but taking even small actions on the things that we can affect will. Representative Pat Schroeder put it this way: you cannot wring your hands and roll up your sleeves at the same time. Amen. Authentic action is a way to focus on what we can control and to roll up our sleeves. You can picture it like this. In particularly anxious moments, all of our thoughts and worries and fears are just this unsettled energy spinning around and around in our heads. We can move out of that hand-wringing state by picking just one thing that we're worried about, something that we have some control over, and ask ourselves, what is one small, sweet step that I'm willing to take right now to help make this better? Something concrete in physical reality. For me, my practice throughout a lot of the fall was that whenever I found my anxiety spiking about the election, I'd reach for one of the postcards that I'd volunteered to write for an organization getting out the vote around climate justice. And it was almost like I could feel the energy from my worries and fear flowing down into my pen. Instead of circling around in my brain, that energy had somewhere to go. The postcard that I wrote to that voter was a way I could contribute to the world I wanted to see. And when I finished it and put a stamp on it, I felt calmer, more resolved, more able to stay engaged, grounded, and ready to take the next small, sweet action that would help make things better. So what is it for you? Is there one issue from among all that might be swirling around in your head that you can help make better? What is one small, sweet step you're willing to take to move it forward? One place you can send that energy to help make a difference. Beloveds, there is so much in the air right now and a lot at stake. It's only natural for us to feel unsettled. And because it matters, the world needs us to be grounded, engaged, and caring. As Universalist minister Theodore Parker said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. It bends if we bend it. We can acknowledge the anxiety and then shift our attention toward our vision, toward action. When the going gets anxious, connect to your breath and to your body. Sing, pray, or dance it out. Cultivate joy. Connect to the ancestors. Connect to your purpose. And take authentic action. There is work to do, and you have all that you need to do it right here in this room. So may it be. Amen.